Peter Charles here from Hooked for Life Fly Fishing, and I'm working on a video here that has a bit of an unusual subject. I'm using an Airflo 40 plus sniper line, which is an overhead line that I use for striped bass in Cape Cod or muskie or pike, and I've put a 15-foot sink tip on the front of it, and I've gone Spey casting for steelhead using it. So you're going to say to yourself, like, why on earth would you do that? Well, there's a couple of reasons. First off, it's a full line. There is no loop-to-loop connection between the running line and the head. And secondly, the mass of the belly is spread out over the head of the line rather than being concentrated in one end. So those two things combined together enable me to make short casts in tight confines and not have to worry about a loop-to-loop connection rattling out of the guides, nor do I have to worry about exactly where the end of the head is. I can make my cast from basically any line position. I can pull half the belly into the guides and make a cast. It doesn't matter, it still shoots. So it became a very, very flexible line to use in short-range conditions. So I took it out in the Credit River and gave that a try. It also proved to be a rather delicate line. It did not smash and crash into the water, and the conditions were pretty harsh. It with very low flows, very clear. So you couldn't afford to be loud and rude with your presentations. I also took it to a large pool on the Grand to see how far I could cast it. It's not ideal, obviously, but it did work. I got some decent cast out of it. So let's get into the video and see how that all turned out. So I'm out this morning with a G Loomis Pro 4X 13-foot 7/8, and the line is that Airflo 40 plus sniper line. I have a 15-foot 105 grain intermediate tip on it, and about a 7-foot fluorocarbon leader, and the fly on the end is a copper tube fly. It's about 3.5 inches long in total length. Now, this is an overhead line that I'm using on here, not a Spey line. I'm doing it just for a point, sort of some out-of-the-box thinking, just to show what's possible. Now, normally I would use this line for striped bass in Cape Cod. I use it for pike, for muskie, for throwing really, really big flies. So obviously, if it can throw really, really big flies, it should be able to manage a sink tip with no problem, and it does. Now, the important thing is, this is out of the box. I haven't modified this line in any way, shape, or form. It's just taken it, put it on a reel, and hung a 15-foot sink tip on the end of it. Now, why would I bother? Why not use a Spey line? Well, I originally did this for use on the Credit River, where conditions are tight, and often we're fishing relatively short distances. And when you're fishing with a head system, that loop can be a pain because it's constantly in the guides. That loop-to-loop connection rattles up down the guides and can foul up when you're trying for really accurate casts. So I wanted a full line. So I went through my boxes of lines, and I thought, well, I never know, this might work. And I put it on, and lo and behold, it does. You know, it really, when you look at the way this line is performing, I really do think, wouldn't it be nice to have, say, a 45-foot line to 15-foot sink tips? The belly mass is kind of stretched out, so it is rather not fussy about how you cast it or where the rear taper is. Handle short casts, long casts. You know, but would anybody buy it? I mean, everybody's so into Skagit heads these days. Would anybody ever see the benefit of doing it? The creek is really low. I mean, this would normally be all underwater. And as you can see, it's all high and dry. So even though we've had rain, there's no fish. We need at least 6 inches more flow, maybe more. Okay, this is exactly the type of conditions I'm talking about with this line. The creek is narrow here. We've got those concrete blocks on the far bank as flood control and erosion control. And if I was using a Skagit head, I'd have the rear loops and the guides. With this one I've got the belly and the guides. I can still shoot a little bit if I wanted to. And when you've got skinny water like this, you want a quiet presentation. I mean, these fish are nervous. They're sitting in a couple of feet of water, and you don't want to be splashing and hacking around. Waiting quietly, make a gentle presentation. Just put it right up against that bank. I mean, if this river was more normal flows, it'd be less of an issue, but when it's so skinny. Last chance fish. Last chance. September 21st, not too many more days left for me to fish. Ugh. Unreal. Okay, that's it, boys and girls. We're done with this pool for another day. No fish.